So first of all, for everyone that is here watching us, thank you very much for being here, for participating in the Cluj Innovation Days. My name is Valentin Maior, and I will be your host today. I'm accompanied by five awesome speakers whom I'm going to challenge today in order to deliver as much value as possible to you. And I will not take this longer and start with the intros. And the only thing from an, let's say, an administrative point of view, I will ask the participants to use the chat to address questions. We will have a question and answer at the end, but we are open to take questions along the way also. And for the panelists, to please be mindful about the time and the agenda that we've set. Okay, in terms of answering to questions, also presentation. So we have one lady here, and we're going to start with that. So, Oana, from what I know very quickly about it, is that you are extremely passionate about what you do, and you're a content marketer marketing consultant. But please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me first. Yes, indeed, I am a consultant for using content and marketing strategies to sell more. And by selling, I'm not only talking about selling and getting money, but also selling ideas, selling relationships, selling communities. So my passion is about connecting people actually and making sure that the connection is valuable to anyone. I hope today with my knowledge and my expertise, I can also share about the go-to-market strategies and about the globalization that we all have taken part in the last months. And maybe we'll just keep going on that area because the world has changed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oana. Let's move on to Mr. Paun, whom we know so far that has specialties in technology transfer, business development, disruptive innovation, R&D management, so a lot of experience. Go ahead.
Hi, hello. First of all, I'm a Romanian, and let's say my career started with being Olympic team member for Romania in '87, so in physics. Then I became engineer in aerospace. Nobody is perfect. Then I been doctor in aerospace and researcher for the French NASA equivalent, which is ONERA, Office National d'Études de Recherche Aérospatiale. I've been technical officer for DARPA, as I had a good project there. And it was the moment where I became a traitor to the science, and I became a business-minded business developer, because I try to help my colleagues to implement their research results into the market. So that's why I became innovation director for NERA, then innovation director for ACA Group, internationally spread at 17 countries, 26,000 engineers, member of the European Innovation Council, jury, pilot, and nowadays technology scouter for competitiveness cluster safe, innovation architect for a small and medium enterprise, independent consultant, and so on.
Thank you very much.
And my focus is helping creating value with public utility.
We'll try to squeeze as much knowledge from during the session. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here with us. And you are currently living where?
I'm living in the beautiful town of Paris, which is probably the nicest town as a tourist and not necessarily as a living.
Alors, bienvenue.
Merci.
And moving on to Cristi, Cristi Barladeanu, who, first of all, is a very good friend of the Romanian tech ecosystem. He's been involved in a lot of initiatives, going from being a startup founder, angel investor, and so on and so forth. Cristi, please share.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Vali, for inviting me here today. I'm glad to be here. I'm living in the beautiful city of Iași, as Florin was mentioning about Paris. And also, which is a city not only beautiful for tourists but also for locals. So I can invite you to try it, Florin, whenever you. Done. So as you said, Vali, I'm a startup founder. My fintech startup is called ThinkOut. I'm the co-founder and CEO of it. And what we're doing is cash flow analysis and forecasting for SMEs. So trying to put into the hands of entrepreneurs a real business decision support tool to have to run their business. And indeed, as you were mentioning, I'm involved also in the Best Never Rest angel investor group from Yash, and also managing Yash startups community. So pretty involved in everything that means startups and developing products in Yash and in Romania.
Thank you very much, Cristi. Hope you'll share with us everything you learned along the way with ThinkOut. And we're going to tackle a lot of subjects about globalization. You'll have a lot to share. Let's move on to Cosmin. Cosmin, he's more or less got a similar profile to Cristi because he's also a very present person in the Romanian tech ecosystem, also angel investor, serial entrepreneur, and I would probably talk 10, 15 minutes about him, but let him choose what he wants to say.
Hello, everyone. Indeed, I'm a 44 years old serial entrepreneur. I've never been employed, and I started my first company back in 1995 under the very tough post-communist conditions in Romania, with bank interest rates of 60% per year. I mean, it was really tough. So it's always been a struggle to bring bank finances to my small businesses, and the financial crisis of 2008 has made it even worse. Having a software company, I recruited my old friend, Mr. Hans Broekhuizen, Chief Risk Officer of Royal Bank of Scotland at the time, and told him we should build technology to compete the banks and bring alternative liquidity to the entrepreneurs. So in 2010, I changed my business paradigm, and I set myself into a mission of helping entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses in general. So today, I'm wearing a few hats. I'm the founder and CEO of iFactor. iFactor is an alternative SME lending hybrid marketplace where SMEs can access liquidity by selling their outstanding invoices or applying for loans. And on the other side, banks and private investors can bid for these applications. At iFactor, we are not only selling things to customers and helping them through the business model, but we are also building technology, and we are engaging other innovators to disrupt the financial services in general. So, for example, we are organizing every year artificial intelligence in finance hackathons. I'm a business angel and vice president of Tech Angels Romania, investing in startups. And I'm a mentor in few acceleration programs. I'm ambassador of Center of Finance Technology and Entrepreneurship from London, the biggest educational platform of artificial intelligence in finance in the world. And I could continue, but I don't want to bore anyone with my activities. I'm a full-time father of 2 daughters.
Well, congratulations for that, Cosmin.
Lady power.
Excellent.
So, as I said, that's the disadvantage of wearing a lot of hats. But yes, Cosmin, thank you very much for being with us. And let's go to Peter, who has just delivered the keynote on the main stage. Peter, thank you for being here.
Yes, good, whatever it is, wherever you are. Good part of day. I'm Peter Leeson, also known as Orchestrated Knowledge. I just finished speaking in the keynote room on from room to Zoom, how things change when everything goes online. I have been working in information technology since before Cosmin was born, because he said he's 44 years old and I've got 46 years in information technology.
And I thought I'm old.
And for the past 25 years about, I have been helping companies in various ways with quality process aspects, and more recently more focused on the culture aspect. So for me, quality is a cultural aspect. Process, metrics, KPIs, user experience, none of that gives you the quality you need for your clients. Your culture, your desire to deliver is what matters. And generally, my quick description of culture is how does staff behave when management isn't watching? That's what we want to try to encourage and to improve. I have worked on every continent except South America and Antarctica. I've still got hopes to get to South America one day. I'm too old for Antarctica by now. And I, because of the experience, because of the global experience and the cultural aspects, I understand the difference between speaking to Chinese people or to Romanians or to Americans. They have very different ways of speaking and understanding. I have been coming to Romania for over 15 years now, at least once a year, usually to Transylvania and mostly to Cluj. But I have been to Bucharest and other places outside of Transylvania. And I very much like working with Romanians because I have found them eager to improve. And I believe it is because Romanians are maybe one generation removed from real poverty and understand what that means and don't want to go back to it. And so they want to learn, they want to improve, they want to move forwards.
Yes,
I'll leave it at that.
Peter, just Peter, because we are registered, please don't confuse Romanians with Transylvanians. Speaking about culture and eager to improve, yeah?
You're
Yes.
making it easier for me, so I'm going to step in here and I'm going to refocus it to our discussion. Thank you very much, Florin. Peter, thank you very much for being here again with us. I know you're already in the speaking mood, so with your permission, I'm going to continue with you as we address the first question. And just to make sure we are aligned with the participants, first of all, use the chat as much as possible. Please do that. Let's try to make it as engaged as we can. Okay, so draw messages. I see Mircea has already written down a snap from what Peter said. Let's try to make this engaging, okay? And we'll have a Q&A session. And now we move on to our the subject of our panel, which has 4 topics. So we'll need to fit that in everything. There's internationalization, global markets. Then we're gonna go to market strategies and financial. And trust me, those who are participating, these panelists have a lot of info to share. But let's jump to internationalization. And Peter, I'm gonna build and raise the ball on what you said. Room to Zoom and culture. These are 2 very important aspects that in the new era, or Zoom era, we need to take into consideration and quickly digest and then deliver. So on that note, what's your perspective on how should we tackle this? But I want to offer, just to make it a bit more difficult, let's put it from 2 perspectives. Because I guess we have startups here, startup founders, and we have also corporates, right? Or let's say SMEs. So let's try to offer each perspective different opinion.
Okay. Let me start off by saying that internationalization, globalization is here to stay. It is non-reversible. We are in an international environment. We're in an international marketplace. We are working around the globe today, and there is no way to come back from that. I can buy your products and services from somebody else. I can have them delivered overnight from Australia or from South Africa without any problem. So it has to stay. And I'm saying this from the other side of Brexit, which unfortunately, like many countries right now, my country has reacted to the globalization aspect and is coming to the nationalistic aspect where everything is the fault of the foreigner. And we need to come back and defend our culture and all that nonsense. That's never going to work. It's going to kill off a few countries as it takes over, but that's not today's world anymore. So the internationalization is there to stay. And that means that the people you are talking to, particularly when you're using tools like this one, the people you are talking to are in different time zones. They understand things differently. They have a different past. They have different interpretation of words. So a few years ago, I was talking to someone about the number of languages we speak. And I added to my list, I speak English, French, Dutch, and bad German. I added to my list that I speak European English and Chinese English and American English and British English and Indian English, because they are different languages. They use different words. A common word used in Europe, for instance, in workshops, is the beamer. A beamer doesn't exist in English. A beamer in English usually means a BMW. What we talk about is a data projector, which somehow that, I don't know where the word came from. If you are a global corporation, you need to understand that you are accessing different markets. You are accessing different needs. So you're going to have to accept that people are going to react wrongly to what you say. I used to give speeches, philosophical, religious speeches, whatever you want to call them. And the people coming out, who were all English spoken naturally, still misunderstood what I was saying. And they picked up one sentence and took it out of context and made it mean something else. You're going to have that. You have to learn to live with it. You have to learn to reduce the length of your sentences when talking so that you can follow things. You have to learn to use simple words. Stick to nothing more than 3 syllables, because otherwise you're losing the information. Most important, if you are a startup, and I want to talk to the startups because that's the future. If you are a startup, identify what is the job people want done. What is it that they actually want, which is not what you are selling. Simple example, nobody wants a 4mm drill. People want a 4mm hole. I might even go further and say they don't want a hole, they want a hook, but okay. So understand what is the job that you want to satisfy. Is this an international job? Is this something common? Is there a portion of the market that is underrepresented today in the market solutions? Is there a portion of the market that is overrepresented? Understand that first. Define what it is you're trying to do. I'm sorry, if I'm talking too long, tell me. There's an old story about the US military who were asked to design a new tank. And the idea was that this tank had to be extremely light so that it could go over the desert without breaking the desert's fragile top surface. That was the original concept. And then everyone said, oh, but if you're building a tank, you mustn't forget 2, and you should also have, and what about this, and so on. And they spent millions developing a tank that was exactly the same as all the others. Okay? Waste of time. Figure out what is the job to be done. Focus on that job. What is the want that you are trying to satisfy. If you don't know what the job is, if you don't know what the want is, you cannot succeed as a startup company. And by the way, only half of your investment can go into development. You're going to need the rest afterwards for marketing and advertising and getting it known.
Peter, thank you very much for adding that. On that matter, we'll go to the go-to-market and we'll continue on that. I now want to go to Florin, as I know he's extremely passionate about the Romanian ecosystem with strong points of view. But this time I'm going to challenge you, Florin, because I want you to take all the disadvantages that you know the Romanian ecosystem has and actually transform them into advantages. How can we use our weak points and make them strong points? We're talking about in the internationalization context, okay?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't think a weak point like lack of culture of team management in Romania could become ever a strong point while going international. As Peter said, focus on what you have to do. I'm sorry. The most difficult side in Romania is, well, let's say differently. In Romania, we think that we innovate because we have a great idea. And I will say this is not your merit. It's the merit of the God and of your mother and father, which genetically built you to have a good idea. Okay? The merit is to the guy who implement the idea into the market. And this is not only a matter of being artist. It is about procedures. It is about KPIs. It is about focusing and follow a process. Either it is a go-to-market, either it's selling. You know, the sales. It's not an easy job to be done. You know, and I will say to internationalize successfully. You first need to understand that each time when you try to sell to somebody else, as Peter said, it's another culture you will meet. It's completely different the way you sell something to a German in comparison with the way you sell the same stuff to a Chinese or to a French or to a Brazilian. Okay? And by the way, Peter, I don't know, are you American?
No. I am European in the most general sense of the term, with bits of German and French and Danish and Irish.
Because I understand, because selling something in Brazil as being American, it's something crazy. You need to be the best seller in the world because they simply culturally don't accept America, you know. So you have to understand that you are going locally, and you need to understand the local specificity, okay? And then you have really to assess your competitive advantage in comparison with the market you are trying to get in. And if you don't have a good benchmark about the competitors you will face, forget about penetrating the market. And Madalina will say about go-to-market a little bit more. But additionally, in China is, for example, but not only in China, almost everywhere, you could not get into a market, even if you have a good competitive advantage, if you are not taking a local partner. So, as Romania, weak point, we don't have a good network as local partners. But we have a great point with a great diaspora nowadays. So I think we don't use enough our diaspora in order to penetrate locally markets. Okay, so how we could transform this weak point into the great strong point? Why not acting like a Lebanese or like guys from Israel? You know what I mean? They are the best in doing business because they are using the diaspora like nobody else. And so that's why they are so successful in business. So we have creativity. As a Romanian, we have good ideas, and we could not go to sell the ideas to others because we don't use the other Romanians, which is a kind of crazy because, you know, everything also is going from the culture. I don't know, you are too young. Maybe Cosmin remember, and Cristi, the famous "Nu ai mâncat salam cu soia." Okay, it's a kind of, you are coming from diaspora. I don't understand what you are voting for me. I'm living in Romania. So it's crazy. I never seen a people who is renegating the nice ambassadors outside, you know, because let's be serious, the majority of the Romanians getting in diaspora, they are doing well, from Opinka to Vladinka. You know what I mean? The best workers, you find it outside. Not I could not have a plumber for my chalet in the Carpathian Mountains because the best plumbers are outside. So simply use the guys which understand local specificities because they are living there. Okay.
We have all your best plumbers here.
And with your
And they are Romanians.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I have
I know.
actually.
I know.
with
When you
your
speak of-
permission, everyone else, I'm going to continue with Florin on the following question because we got him heated up, and I think he's going to deliver here. So, Florin, I know we've participated recently to another conference which reunited the diaspora, and we know there's a lot of huge value there. Based on what you said, which I think it's a very good strategy, and I personally use it in what I do as I do sales, to reach out to a network. Let's try to see, where do you think, which are the regions currently where we have a lot of diaspora, right? A lot of Romanians, where we should go initially, because we cannot tackle everything, right? So you're a Romanian. Let's take a practical example, and I'm going to give Cosmin here as an example because we're going to follow up with him as practicality. So we have Cosmin, who's a startup founder. He's got iFactor. He's got a product that he wants to, he can go global with, and he comes to you as an advisor and says, okay, where should I go? And you tackle this diaspora thing. What advice do you give him practical?
Do you know, in Europe, all over Europe, unfortunately, the image of Romania was made by cheaters, stealers, and things like that, you know? But there is a country, well, a kind of country, because it's the United States of America, where when you are saying that I am Romanian, the guys are telling you, whoa, you must be very good in mathematics and have at least a PhD. This is the idea that the Americans have about Romanians. Okay, you must be very good in mathematics and have at least a PhD. You are very good in IT and software development. So this is the image that Romania has in the United States, and they are also millionaires, multi-millionaires, Romanian in Silicon Valley and elsewhere. We have the third guys which use robotic surgery in the world, Adrian Lobonțiu, friend, which is in States, and is just an example. So go in United States. I'm sorry about authorities. Don't go through the embassy because it doesn't help. Go through the Romanian professional networks, and you will have a clear path to go to the market. Additionally, we start to have, including in Europe, some countries which, of course, they know Romanians are cheating, steal, and things like that, but they also know good professionals. And I mentioned East Germany, France, UK, so on. They know about doctors, about engineers. They already know about them. So go where to. Did I answer?
I think you did. Let's see, Cosmin, practical point of view.
I think you're on mute, Cosmin.
Yeah, I think you're on mute. By the way, Peter, I'm going to put you on mute because you're making a little bit of noise. Cosmin.
Thank you, Valentin. I guess I was thinking while Florin was talking, and I think that he mentioned cheaters a little bit too many times, because indeed, traveling around the world, I never felt that anyone in Europe or United States was thinking of me as a Romanian as a cheater. So I guess it really depends on many layers of society when you're approaching a different market. Indeed, we are using diaspora. For example, in iFactor, we do have a co-founder, Mr. Manuel Costescu. He was working for 15 years in JP Morgan and McKinsey in London, and he does live in London. Ms. Flavia Richardson, she's vice president of the Silicon Valley Bank in London now on early stage. So we do use these strategies in order to understand and better penetrate a foreign market that we are addressing. But now, when I'm returning to this topic of internationalization, and when we think about what was before the Zoom culture and what is now, I guess it's a big opportunity. And even before and even now, I think that there are three words that I would like to address to anyone. That would be focus, discipline, and methodology. I guess probably what Madalina will complete into discussing the go-to-market strategies will address these three topics. And indeed, it's very important to understand the culture when you're going outside. But before the Zoom, when we talked about the internationalization, you were thinking about going to, I don't know, some authorities, some offices, business offices, that embassies were opening for different industries outside of Romania. So there are a lot of missions, and I'm not talking about only Romania. Romania actually failed into this, into addressing this, let's say, governmental tools of internationalization. I don't know why, because probably not all the functioners, state functioners, were not properly doing their jobs or stuff like this. But anyhow, this was a tool that was not enough used for outside. And then when you talk about getting a local partner, I guess is not always necessarily the best opportunity. In iFactor, we actually had some Germans and some Austrians that wanted to cheat us and steal the product. So we had to make we actually worked with the Romanian embassy and with lawyers, and we did lots of things in order to actually protect our IPR and everything against these cheaters, which were practically not Romanians. In my opinion, once again, you need to do methodology. So we have the situation of getting grants, for example, in Romania for internationalization, and very few companies were doing approaching these grants to actually be able to access European markets or other markets. I have to say that it's both the situation of the startups, innovative startups, technology startups, and general SMEs. Of course, the general innovative startups have now a huge opportunity on the Zoom culture. And of course, sales, meetings, even if you're in London now, for example, we are accepted into a Londonese accelerator next year. But before that, they were doing offline mentoring sessions, and now they will do it online. So it doesn't matter that you're in London or you're basically in Cluj or Bucharest, you will do that acceleration program. You will have the possibility of hiring salespeople from UK market. They will do the sales, not meeting one-on-one, but mostly on the Zoom, and everything basically will move there. So there will be, it's indeed a shift of culture and a shift of doing internationalization from this perspective. So it's a huge opportunity for Romanians. Indeed, in Romania, we have a very low ecosystem. let's talk about ecosystems when we talk about internationalization. Here we have the founders and their knowledge and capability of doing business development. Of course, we have very big tech and innovative, let's say, talents. But as Florin said, we have very low specific business development talent. And this needs a bit of maturing. The same in the same scale, we talk about acceleration programs. Most of the Romanian acceleration programs were using corporate people that were the expertise people coming into the acceleration, teaching and telling founders how to do things, how to build a community, how to do whatever, to do customer interviews and customer development and stuff like this. Everything was looking very nice on the boards and on the slides, but at the end, the problem is that those people, those corporate people, they are not risk resilient. They never have been involved into a real life business, building a business actually. So they do use resources of big corporations, but when you talk about building a company, then it's a different story. And then we also have the investment part. So on the investment part, we have a very early investment community. We have some segregated organizations of business angels in Romania, like Tech Angels, TAN in Cluj, TBNR in Iași, or Growceanu in Timișoara, and we have few VCs. So we have like 3 VCs and some other syndication SPVs that are investing in startups in Romania right now. Indeed, this is the first step. It's very good, and we could see the results of the ecosystem growing. Why do I talk about this? Because of the respect that foreign people, both money, the VCs, and both customers are addressing to the Romanian products. How can you compete as a Romanian startup with a UK startup on the same vertical when you have huge amount of money as resource on your disposal when you're in UK, and when you have valuations, 50% discount in valuations in Romania, and very, very few opportunities?
Cosmin, you're sharing extremely useful and practical experience. What I would suggest, and I think it's also coming from one of the panelists, is how do we shift from these pain points to more constructive? Because we know all the pain points. We're tackling them. Let's try to switch, and I'll ask also the other participants to stay on this mindset. Go for constructive, and we know what we're not doing okay. How? Even if there's one-liner.
Success stories, and we are doing that already. Success stories, and
if I may,
we are conquering already some new grounds, and the ecosystem is growing, and we get the respect. We already get this respect of the markets.
Florin, please.
If I may, Cosmin is right. A success story will create a model, a societal model, and Romania needs society models. But as I'm advising some other governments and other countries, let's give you the example of Cyprus. Cyprus, it's a very interesting case. And like Romania, they have no internal skills for the missing parts of the ecosystem. What they are using, international experts. So as Cosmin mentioned, why would you bring coaches and mentors from corporate, which are very risk adverse? They never be an entrepreneur, because if not, they are not working for a corporation. So why you don't use international experts in coaching and mentoring? Cyprus are doing this. Cyprus are only selecting projects for innovation and grants through international experts. Of course, they are small and they could kill each other if they don't select themselves, you know. So it's easy for them to use international experts. But when you don't have experts inside in order to coach, to train, to mentor, why you don't use outside experts? this is one of the suggestions.
There is, I can tell you that there is, and I think Peter is one of the persons here to validate what I'm saying. There is more and more influence coming from outside, and we are accepting it better, I think. And we'll see what Cristi and Cosmin say, because we've seen in different conferences, we have a lot of foreign experts, foreign coaches. What we do not have is indeed an ecosystem or programs where we can fit them in, not only to have them as speakers, but we can fit them in accelerations or stuff like that. I don't think there's a mature enough ecosystem, but we're building that. We're building that.
But Valentin, let me tell you something. I was very proud that the first time in history, I would say, a local small and medium enterprise from Romania successfully tackled European money directly to the accelerator program from European Innovation Council Accelerator, okay? But it's only one company. Since I'm member from February 2018, I ever seen a Romanian company applying from this money.
No. I disagree. Florin, I disagree. We also applied. We have in the Innovix, for example, accelerator. There is a line of right now. For example, for the last call, we had at least for the EIC money, both in Fast Track to Innovation and SME Instrument. There are at least a dozen of companies that are applying. Indeed.
Yeah, but Cosmin, I'm speaking about the phase of the jury pitches. From 2000, they only successful go 120.
We could debate on that. We could debate on that. It's always chicken and egg. We have you always have interviews with the companies from the states where there were a lot of consultants and experts actually trading side with consultants, but not.
It is not about consultants. It is about the entrepreneur project, and of course consultants could help you to better write your file, but they are not good. I'm sorry, Cosmin, to tell you this, because I see the results.
So let's do it like this.
Only one
first
company.
Of all, thank you extremely, and I would appreciate if the participants would write a yes for the energy we've created, because I feel the good energy, constructive, and type a yes on the chat. Let's see. Let's type some yeses for the panelists in order to get them rolling in the same manner. Okay, we have some yeses. Okay, there. So good energy, everyone. However, I would like to give Peter the chance to his 1 minute to contribute, and then I really want to switch to go to markets because we have Oana here waiting. So Peter.
Okay, as after Florin has said what he just said, as a consultant who has been traveling to Cluj and Transylvania very frequently, the rest of Romania less, but I want to talk about the Cluj aspect, having seen many different businesses.
Peter, 1 minute, please.
1 minute. Romania got started because you had some IT knowledge and you were cheap. Over time, business came in, you started raising your prices, you are no longer cheap. So the Romanian IT market was largely outsourcing Western European and North American development for financial stakes. At this point, you need to be able to differentiate Romanian quality by being proud of this being a Romanian product. I used to promote the idea of having a made in Cluj stamp on software products to show how good quality they were. And you have to stop outsourcing for other people and start designing and building your own products. Use the foreign consultants such as, I want to help you guys because I believe in Romania, okay? Use us, the foreign consultants, to tell you what's happening, what's going wrong, and how you can resolve it. probably went over a minute. It's up to you.
No worry, Peter. Thank you very much. And to be honest, we need more and more people like you, Peter, to push this in the ecosystem, because, you know, there's a saying, and Oana, please get ready, and Cosmin also, because we're going to move to you guys. There's a saying in Romania, we're too proud individually and not enough proud as a group. And on that note, Oana, let's go into go-to-market, and I really hope, based on the huge experience that you have on helping companies, give us some insights, and then we'll follow up with Cristi, who's going to give us practical and based on what he's learned. Let's tackle this.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for everything you shared. I have a lot of notes here, and I'm going to use them in my work, and I'm going to use them also to share my ideas. First off, the conversation about the culture. It doesn't matter the culture you're going in, you're going for humans. This is a thing that we are not speaking enough of. We are all humans. Even if I'm going to sell on the US or if I'm going to sell on the UK, I'm going to work with humans. If I'm going to sell an idea to a company, to the HR team, and they have to sell them to their team because in the last month, the HR teams had to behave as selling ideas, selling people, and they are not trained to do that. And they had to sell the idea of Zoom, the idea of being connected online, even though we were used to be connected offline. They had to sell the idea that the companies are not going to die, even though everything felt like it's going to fall apart. So the HR communities and the HR people need to learn how to sell ideas, because they are going to sell ideas, experiences, and feelings to their employees. This is inside of the companies. And in the external stage, we as Romanians, we are going to sell forever and ever to humans, no matter where they are from. So if you are going to penetrate a country, a different continent also, you need to know who your client avatar is. And you know this, Valentin, about me. I'm always going to march and to put pressure on a company, on a startup, on an SMEs, on a, I don't know, European funding program to tell me who is your client avatar. Because if you do not know that person, who, by the way, is a human, what a surprise, you are going to keep talking about concepts, about generalization, about we don't have enough money. Regarding this, about not having enough money or enough VCs in Romania to give money to the startups, that it's not entirely true. The thing is, there are money, we just do not know how to use them, which is different. About what Peter said when he first had his intro, when he said you have to use your money for marketing. There are a lot of programs about building your product, making the engineering part. There are a lot of incubation, acceleration, whatever. Give me one incubation program about the go-to-market in order to teach people how to sell. Because startups...
Founder Institute, Innovix, Commons Excel, Spheric was doing that, even Risky Business.
Yes, let me, I know all of them, but they do not teaching people how to sell. They are teaching concepts. They are not teaching strategies. And if I'm going to a training and you're going to teach me the 4 Ps of marketing, which is written really, really long time ago, and it does not apply in today's strategies, that it's not an acceleration program. That is something that I could read in a book. So give me more practical things, because I know you are a practical guy, and I know you understand when I'm talking about. Give me practicals, workshops for the SMEs on how to get money from investors, how to apply for European funds, how do I make the launch of my product? Because, sorry.
I think you are speaking about 2 different things. You are speaking about teaching, but in fact, you are speaking about teaching. It's about concepts, about strategies, but going practically, you need a workshop practically with a coach. And the coach, you don't have it in Romania.
If we wouldn't have coaches in Romania, I wouldn't get paid the amount of money I get paid monthly to do my job. So we do have people who can coach who can coach other people. What I'm trying to say is that we have to stop talking at a theoretical level, because we do have talent in Romania. We do have great startups. We do have great ideas. They just need to get to be more practical in what they are doing now in order to get to those markets. Yes,
Madalina,
we can find, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I
It's okay,
apologize.
sure.
Indeed, this is why I was talking about ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the ecosystem, unfortunately, in the capitalism was built based on financial resources. And we could see in the last 2 years that we were increasing the practical things, also in the acceleration programs, from what I was talking about, pure slides, to very practical programs for startups. And this is why I was telling Florin that in the last session of the InnovX, for example, there were 12 companies, if I recall well, applying for grants in EICS, I mean the instrument phase 2, which before that didn't happen, although the program was still there. So maturing, in order to build up the ecosystem, you need to have the financial resources, and this is actually building up. And we need to move, indeed we are moving now, we are in a stage of moving from service to product, like Peter said. So before 2016, we were services outsourcing country. Now we are slowly moving to product because entrepreneurs saw success stories.
Yes, I want, and I agree with that. Just Valentin, allow me to end this.
Please let Madalina finish, everyone. Please let Madalina finish, because I want to pass to Cristi. Florin, I'm going to give you your time. Please, please accept my moderation. So Madalina, please finish.
Cosmin, I do agree, and I'm really happy that we are talking more about switching from services to product. I just, it's my job to be the person who goes into a company and talks about, so great, you did an amazing product. How are you going to make money with it? So what I'm trying to say is just do not replicate the system we did with the services. We are good at services. We just do this really good. And as Peter said, we were good as a country because we were cheap. But when the competition, the Indians started becoming cheaper, now Romania has no advantages apparently, because we do not know how to sell the benefits. We do not know how to sell the quality. We do not know how to sell the dignity and the fact that there are people who are doing a great job here. So what I'm trying to say is just when we are educating for doing more products, let's in the same time educate about promotion, about selling, about preparing to make money, because making money is also something that we can learn and we need to. That's it.
So Florin, you have 1 minute and move to Cristi. Okay?
Valentin, yes. Valentina, just to tell you that I fully agree, Madalina, with what you said. It's just, I'm happy that you are existing, but let me tell you, with a flower, you are not.
No, but I can plant more flowers.
So I still maintain, I still maintain my point of view. We need professional coach. We need professional coach to learn practically what means. Again, Cosmin, on InnovX, it's great, it's fun. Let me ask you something. You have 3 Romanian members of the jury pilot from EIC. InnovX as a program. Did you ever spoke with Diana from UK, with Florin from Romania, or with Mihai from France,
yes,
or with Mihai from Romania,
yes,
in order to speak with Mihai? Okay, thank you. Okay, because the French are using me. We are 10 French in the jury. The French are using me for oral pitches, for
maybe this is why we don't use you, because we don't like French so much.
So each time when I'm doing a re-lecture, I found mistakes, and each time when I correct them, my track record is 2 by 3 are winning. Mihai, I'm not telling he's good, but he's young as a jury. He has also 6 months as a jury, and I've seen already 200 projects. Why don't you use again Diana or me together with Mihai. I'm coming for a re-lecture for free
So,
because I'm Romanian,
Yeah.
and I will do it by.
I think there's 84 persons now heard that Florin is offering free sessions, so I think his agenda is going to be filled up. So let's confirm that. Who wants a free session with Florin? Write on the chat a big yes. And Florin needs to commit to this because he's been very vocal here today. So how many free sessions do you have? So there's 3 yeses already. Let's get to 10. Let's get to 10, please, because he needs to commit now directly. So we have 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is recorded. Florin, what are you going to use? I made
Valentin,
sure that we're going to use
I'm doing for the
I'm
French.
the first
doing
because
for
I'm
the
a
Cyprus.
co-panelist. I'm the first because I'm a co-panelist with him. So
okay.
I get
And actually, because I'm the co-panelist, I can organize the online event and I can sell it in order to have many people online. So it's going to be worth it.
We're doing practical things here. I like this. I like the energy and everything. So we've ticked that. We're gonna use Florin because we have a tons of yeses. Let's move, please. Please. Let's move to Cristi because it's been very silent. Cristi, thank you for your patience. And now, please don't interrupt, Cristi.
Let me just say something.
No, Florin, please don't interrupt.
He was joking.
I'm gonna try to do 2 steps back to the go-to-market strategies and the things we're supposed to do. And just to bridge a bit what Madalina was saying and what Peter was saying before, based at least on our experience from ThinkOut in the past years. I totally agree with Madalina about clearly defining your customer and have customer personas or avatars, how to call them, but very precisely. But what we found out actually in the past period, at least, is a bit closer to what Peter has said regarding jobs to be done and trying to find out what kind of jobs your customers are hiring your product for, right? And maybe even more than social demographics and thermographics and all kind of classical FMCGs kind of segmentation of B2C products. What we found more useful is to see what the customers are really using our product for and what are the jobs. So thumbs up for this, for Peter, bringing jobs to be done framework into the discussion. And it was one thing that really helped us, and we're still all working on it and changing our positioning and strategy based on that. From the other perspective that was approached before, my co-panelist, I think indeed we have a tendency of focusing on development because our strong points are in development, and even me as a founder or other startups that I know about, coming from an IT background, put their main effort into development and trying to develop the best product and trying to use all the new technologies and everything they learned from a corporate environment or from other IT projects or their background and so on. For many times the selling experience is undermined a bit, where everything regarding the go-to-market and trying to get customers and have proper monetization is taken for granted. It's like if you build it great, they will come nevertheless. Just have a great product and it will sell by itself. And it's never like that, right? It's never like that. And probably having this kind of switch in perspective from acceleration programs for angels, investment groups, and so on would help a lot of startups to grow faster and to go to different markets.
I want to share something,
Valentin.
Valentin.
Don't mute yourself.
Sorry.
I've muted everyone else. Don't mute yourself. We're going to go back to Oana. Cristi, let's continue also on the go-to-market, and also we'll continue with the financial questions also. So, Madalina, please.
I want to add something regarding what Cristi said about the client avatar. The way I'm using the client avatar, Cristi, and if you'd like, I can share the tool. I created an ebook. It's a free ebook I offer to any entrepreneurs. It has gone to like 2,000 entrepreneurs in the last month, and I haven't done any marketing on it. I just shared it organically. The questions in the tool I use are also about the frustrations my client has when he's searching for a product to solve that job that he wants to get solved, about how he is searching. I want to know how he's searching for the people to solve that job. I want to know where he searches. So it's a bit more than just the demographic. I do not agree with the demographic. Facebook spoiled that for us as marketers because they created the audience, and now people believe that if you set the audience on Facebook, that's it, that's your client avatar. It's something different regarding the avatar and regarding the audience. It's two different things. And there is a quote I really like to say a lot: behind every person that is shouting that has a problem, there is an army of people that has the same problem, but they do not have the courage to shout. So when you build that avatar, you just have to imagine that it's your go-to person to create everything that you need regarding your product in order for the army behind that person to buy and to be interested in your product. And there's just one add-on I would like to share. I think Cosmin said at some point that we should share more. We are sharing success stories in order to give people courage and so on. I would like to with all due respect, Cosmin, say something about this. I think the problem is that we do not share success stories. We share success results. We do not share the stories of the startups. We do not share the stages they have been through in order for us to build exactly what you were saying, Cosmin, methodology. We are just sharing the results UiPath had. We are just sharing the joy that they got there, but we do not have access to the story. So in order to have that symbiosis between people who have been through the process and people who are interested in going to the process and have no idea on how to go through that process, I think we need to celebrate the results, every results. You know, I like to celebrate victories, small victories also. But let's just find ways, and this is a challenge for everyone in the tech industry, find ways to talk more about the stories and the stages that those stories have, because a story is never about the final point. It's not, you know, like in the romantic movies from Netflix, like this is it, the final ending, it's a happy ending. Actually, their marriage starts there. After the movie is done, that's when the marriage begins, and that's when the hard work starts. And it's exactly the same with startups. After you have a great result, that's when the work should start, and that's when we should talk more about that.
And
that's it.
I'm gonna thank you very, very much, Madalina. I really appreciate. Hope the participants, panelists, because that's true. And I'm gonna add a little personal flavor in order to introduce Cristi on the financial, because we're gonna start with the financial. We need to go practical. When I started, so I was a tech guy. Everybody who knows me knows that. I was a developer. I was a rat in front of a keyboard, and I said, I can do more for myself, for this country, for the tech ecosystem. So I got out of the office and I started talking to people. And this is how it got me into building a huge network and now helping companies by helping them build their sales. However, the story behind this, and Cristi, please relate to this, is that I had no idea how to do this because I didn't have the formal education of a CEO or an MBA. So I had to pay a lot of money to study, and even that didn't get me through until, and this is a very big until, I got connected to a business network in Romania, Romanian business leaders, and some of the guys took me underneath their wing and said, we're not going to talk a lot with you because we don't have time, but you can stick here if you want. Just stay with us. And I was the stupidest, probably poorest person in the room. But 6 months later, something changed here and got me to another problem, financials. How do I manage finance? And Cristi, this is where you take in.
It's a very wide topic if we're talking about how do I manage
let
financials
me help
regarding everything.
How do you help
So it's
CEOs
a
take decisions based on
no,
their financials?
no. What we found out from our customers and from our interaction is that actually the average level of financial planning and literacy in general for many managers and entrepreneurs is usually at a bit above the survival level. So what like the main driver for for the vast majority of entrepreneurs, and I'm talking here about the let's say the total market, not only focused on startups or on techs, because they're talking about the tech people. Usually the average competence level is quite high or much higher than the average. But I'm talking about the economy as a whole. Many of them just see financial as a burden. Everything regarding numbers, everything regarding analyzing your business results is usually seen through the lens of accountancy, which represents a pile of paper that you gather during the month and just you forward it to your accountant and expect to get a folder 2 weeks later with a balance sheet and an income statement, and you try to make some sense out of it, right? But the only information or the most important information for you is how much you need to pay to the state authorities and by when you need to pay it, right? But in terms of really analyzing your business to see what are your revenue streams, which one of them is growing, which one of them is shrinking, what's your cost structure, how much does salaries represent out of your total costs, or what the expenses are outliers and you need to take care of. This kind of information that is really not rocket science. You don't need an MBA, as you were mentioning, or any other specific coaching or mentorship programs to try to do complex financial management, but just to have a firm grasp of the day-to-day operations of your company. And I think here's a thing that I would add to the list to maybe teach more, as Madalina was saying about the sales part. I think this part of having a firm grasp of financials in our company is also a thing we would need to put a bit of educational focus on more than we do right now.
Let's see. Florin, please.
If I may, I fully agree with what Cristi said, and I will say it's the basis to build the so-called business plan, business model, which will which will provide you the so-called discounted cash flow, which will allow you to calculate a valuation stage by stage, and which will allow you to negotiate about the valuation of your enterprise when you will raise money. I'm astonished that the CEO, the entrepreneurs, they still look to this as a burden, like Cristi said, because this is their life, how they will negotiate what is the value of the company in front of a business angel in order to defend himself on a position of only 15% shares for 300,000 euro and not 30%. It's like, why should you say 30%? Well, I think it's good. It's impossible to have good practices if you have the basis, the fundamentals of what means financials as operation, and then build a too valuable business plan with a true balance, which will allow you to discount the cash flow and calculate a net per worth value for your company. And I wonder, we have ASE in Romania, we have all economics faculties. When I'm giving conferences to the students and I'm asking them, how you will value a company, nobody is able to answer to me. Nobody. I say it's starting with telling them that the problem, the issue of financial valuation, it's the #1 issue of the CEO. It's starting by this. If not, no money, no development, no go-to-market, nothing.
So on that,
okay, and
Florin, thank you very much. And you're extremely right. There's nothing to add there. Madalina, you had something? Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to add something because I'm working daily at the grassroots level with people that are having these struggles with the fact that they had an idea, and because they had the idea, they became entrepreneurs. But we need to talk more and to teach more about the difference between what are the roles in a company. And here I would like to talk shortly about Michael Gerber's thinking about the entrepreneurial myth, which is a myth. Because in a company, there should be at least 3 roles, and some specialists are talking about 4, but I'm just going to talk about 3. The entrepreneur who has the vision and the business development skills and does not have the skills for the management. The second role is about the manager who needs to do everything in order for the entrepreneur to have great presentations in front of other business partners. And then there is the technical guy or the technical team that is able, because it has the knowledge, is able to create products or is able to create services for the other 2 to sell. So it's always should be these 3 roles. Problem is, in Romania, because of the education system, because of communism, because we are young in the capitalism world, in our startups, one person is playing these 3 roles at the same time for very, very long periods of time. We have someone who has a great idea. Maybe he's an IT guy, as Cristi said. Maybe he's an IT guy who has an amazing idea that could help a lot of people. So he starts developing that idea, but he should go and act as an entrepreneur when he's talking with business investors, and he has no idea about what to talk to that business investors. He just has the idea. He does not have the education to do that. He's also the technical guy because he knows how to connect the technical things that I do not even know because it's not my job to know. So the problem is that we are asking for one person to know, to do these 3 roles, to do them good. And if they are not doing them really good, we are going to argue with them and we are going to tell them they are not going to be successful. I do not agree with this. They can be successful if they have an open mind to get on board the specialists, exactly what Peter said, specialists and other employees that know how to do that job, because you cannot pretend that you are going to be also the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technical at the same level of quality, because quantity, it's possible, but not quality.
No,
it's my point of view.
Yes, you can. Valentin, I guess you were about to give me the microphone, right?
Yeah.
I disagree with Madalina almost totally. I half agree with Christian and Florin. Let me tell you why. First of all, we need to split, and the understanding of, because we were talking about general SMEs, as we like to call them, the brick and mortar companies, and the tech companies, which are the startups, the innovative startups. So there are 2 total different things on different ways on how these companies can finance themselves. So financials, when you talk about financials, you need to understand basically what are the resources and how can you approach them. When we talk about startups, which are innovative startups, it's one way of, that's why it's called venture capital. It is because it is an adventure. It is very risky, extremely risky. When we talk about brick and mortar companies, then you have a much lower possibility of scaling of those companies, but they need to stay financially healthy. So it's basically 2 different paradigms. When we talk about the brick and mortar companies, coffee shops, bakeries, manufacturers, and stuff like this, then you have debt. So you have lines of credit, you have loans, and you have banks, and you have different other approaches for this type of companies. Then you have for the innovative startups, you have the business angels, you have venture capital funds, you have family offices, and then you have products like convertible notes, and then you have grants, and you have also for innovation, and you have also the possibility of crowdfunding and reward pre-sale, lending, equity. You have lots and lots of peer-to-peer lending and stuff like this. So basically, it's very, very important for any entrepreneur to understand what is the ground that he's playing for. And this is how he has to build a strategy, a financial strategy. Now, going back to the innovative companies which are approaching the venture capitalists, which is business angels, which are basically investing their own money, so risking their own skin, and venture capitalists, which are investing others people's money, so LPs, the limited partners, which are pulling in the money. All this space is usually filled with entrepreneurs that mostly understand, as Cristi said, they understand the game. It doesn't matter that it's a tech guy or it's a business development guy like me, building technology, or some marketing guy that is the CEO of the company. Usually they understand because they are learning this path of growing the company into the from seed to from bootstrapping to seed, pre-seed. They are learned, and in the acceleration programs and incubators, mentorships, and even to this type of conferences, they start learning how this game is played. So usually they are well aware of that stuff. The big problem in the economies, and Romania has this problem too, but not only Romania, Madalina.
I agree. I love Romania, so
World Economic Forum says that 95% of the SMEs worldwide have insufficient access to finance. You know why? Because the banks over time, they tried to educate these people to do financial management skills. And this, as you mentioned, it's a totally different specialty. It's a field of expertise. But the small companies, they don't have resources to hire these experts. So what we have done, and now with the technology is helping, we started to build up, it's called iFactor Pure Analytics. It's actually an engine that it's analyzing not only the credit risk assessment, but also the credit worthiness of the companies, but also the business insights, the business development insights from the alternative data, which is out there. So only 1 second. So I'm proud to say that last week we won with this product, the Elevator Lab Raiffeisen the Elevator Lab International Final with this product, exactly because we are changing the paradigm. So these entrepreneurs that now, I mean, it's very, honestly, a carpenter knows how to sell furniture based on his expertise, domain expertise. He's expert in that field. He doesn't have resources to hire a CFO, right? So he's just giving the papers to the accountant. The accountant is working in a black box. He's delivering for the tax authorities all the documentation and everything. And the company doesn't have any financial strategy at the end. But still, it's paying taxes, it's employing people, and everything else. So the entrepreneur is doing some financial strategy behind, but he's not well aware how to iterate a strategy out of it. So this is a paradigm that needs to be shifted. And I don't think that ever, because for hundreds of years, banks were trying to educate entrepreneurs how to do with MBAs or non-MBAs.
Banks should not educate us because banks are profit-based. Peter, please go ahead.
Yes, I want to disagree with both of you so that I can agree with both of you. I think the problem, first, I don't think a good carpenter can necessarily sell. Yes, if you come in and you say what you want, they can sell it to you, but selling is finding the clients. It's all the other stuff, which they might or might not be able to. I think what is happening is that no one is explaining, teaching, coaching in how to design a company. What are I've got this brilliant tech idea. I can create this product. That's not enough. I need to understand what it means, who needs it. Is this actually going to give me financial aspects? Come to the forefront because we're all working for money. I've often told people to remember you're only paid for the unpleasant parts of your job. The fun parts you will do for free. It's the annoying bits. It's the responsibilities that you're given. It's the blame you're going to be given. So understanding how to design a company, understanding that it's not just building a product. I have to sell the product. I have to get my finance in place and so on. Banks are teaching you, banks are asking you for finance, and so you do this. I work with a lot of IT companies, a lot of tech companies, and when I ask them to estimate the cost of a development and when they're going to be able to deliver it, they can do that. When I ask them to estimate the value of what they're doing, they're lost because no one has ever asked them. They don't know how to do this. And that is where you learn the things that people are asking you to do. You need the money. So therefore, the financial aspect, you can get a grip of very quickly. But actually designing the company, how does this flow? What are we going to produce? How long does it take to produce? What's the value of this? Who is going to benefit from it? Is this national, international? Do I need coaches and consultants and mentors to help teach me some aspects of it? Do I need 50 employees? Am I going to want to have 3 employees in 2 years' time? All this has to be thought through. And design is not taught properly as far as I'm concerned. And I'm talking here education, not training. I don't want you to give a technique to do it, but understand what it is you're trying to do. And the second aspect is the risk management. Understanding what are the risks you're going to run into, what can possibly go wrong, how much money are you going to invest in solving a problem that might never happen, how are you going to react when the unforeseen happens. I was in a company in Cluj a few years ago, and they were working mainly for the international market, an outsourcing company. And one of the questions I had, how can you be sure that your internet connection stays live? And I got a very good answer. Said, we've got 3 connections and they're in different sides of the building to make sure that there's no interference with them, so that if one goes down, we've got at least another one that will continue working. All 3 internet connections were then attached to a cable that went to the same wooden pole along a very busy street. So the next question is, what happens when a car drives into this wooden pole and takes out all 3 connections? We hadn't thought that far. Okay, just understanding risk management, just understanding service continuity, understanding how to design a business rather than a product. Those for me are the fundamentals we need to be looking at now.
Peter, thank you very much. And I promised the participants we're going to take questions. We have 3 so far. Peter, we have one for you from Dana who went to ask you in the question, but we're not. We're going to give you 1 minute to breathe. Florin, we have one from Andrei Kelemen for you. Some things cannot be changed, as you said. They are given by nature or by a long history, culture, meaning. Yet, we need to adapt in this global village. Where could we excel, but we are doing a poor job at the moment? And Andrei, if you're still with us, I think you were talking about the Romanian context, right? So, Florin, the floor is yours.
Well, it's let goes to fundamentals, because I agree and disagree with what Peter said. Planning, having a vision, designing, it's compulsory indeed. But in Romania, Peter, we have a word which is generally valid: socoteala de acasă nu se potrivește cu cea din târg. Which means that what you thought on, you plan on, it will never work like this. Okay? So this is going back to whatever you have as a vision and you have to go, you need to be agile. You need to be, again, feedback, and be able to switch. I was thinking on Cristi, a French unicorn, who was followed by his investor for his 7 business model switches. 7th business model switches, and he has a follow-up in financial. Okay, so this means mental agility. I will answer to the question of Andre. Andre, I think we have everything already. I think we have all the puzzles elements, but we need to put them together. And I will go back to the definition of entrepreneur. It's a French word, cocorico, which means entrepreneur. Okay? This means entrepreneur. It means between parties. Is the person which is between the parties which will collectively create value. That's the essence of being entrepreneur, and it's the only thing we need again in Romania to make understanding that the entrepreneur is the guy who's taking the best of his entrepreneurial team, the roles that Madalina said, the need for finance education, the need for design thinking education, the need for designing a company. We need the guy which will put the puzzle together, because we start to have business angels, we start to have VCs. We had goddamn good ideas as Romanians. We have good technical guys. We have everything almost, but we don't have the two entrepreneur, because we confound entrepreneur with leader or with manager or with multi-role player. It is not this. The entrepreneur is entrepreneur between parties, and that.
Thank you very much, Florin. I appreciate
So education about this, coaching, mentoring, two entrepreneurs, select people with entrepreneurs. In France, we all the time complete the team. In order to be incubated, you need to accept to complete the team. Okay, so I bring you a sailor, a commercial guy. I bring you a financial guy. I bring you a CTO. I build
Florin,
the team, and then I will incubate.
Because that's very useful information. So sorry to interrupt. Dana had the first question. Yes, Cosmin, but please let Peter answer Oana, who's waiting from the other session. So question for you, Peter. How do we integrate the knowledge management into orchestrated knowledge? How can we share the information that was well and correct received?
Communication is something, much it's too little, it's not relevant. The first thing you need to do as far as sharing knowledge, whether it's knowledge management or orchestrated knowledge, which is not quite the same thing, is I need the right information to be in the hands of the right person at the right time. Email has killed this. Email has become misused just like the internet has become misused. It is full of rubbish. You're getting emails that don't interest you, and you get so many of them that you miss out the one that is useful. We are pushing information at a time when I can't use it, I don't need it, I don't want it, so I'm putting it on the back burner where I will forget it when I do need it. So the objective is to make the information available and easy to find. Wikipedia has done a fantastic job at organizing knowledge. I'm not saying it's all correct, okay? I'm not judging the quality of the knowledge, but there is an extraordinary amount. If you want to find knowledge about anything, you can go to Wikipedia, and then I strongly recommend you go to the bibliography underneath to find out what it really was. But make the information available and easy to find. I'll leave it at that for now. I believe Dana has booked a separate conversation with me. Yes.
Booked. Florin, we all need to stay in contact. Thank you for the suggestions. Let's move to the other last question. There is a specific mindset of people in different markets. Is it possible to learn specific mindset without a physical presence in the market country? And if answer is yes, how to do it? Who wants to answer that? Madalina.
The specific mindset of people in different markets is that we all want to gain and to win something from every entrepreneurial context that we are in. So if I'm a consumer, I want to buy, I want to give something for something that's going to be of use to me. So this is what's going to happen anywhere in the world. So the common ground of every market is going to be someone has a need. Am I able to fulfill that need or get that job done, how Peter said? If yes, that's going to be a process beneath those two contexts. And if you are good, you can fulfill that process and go to that client. So the thinking is always, in my opinion, centered around the human that you are trying to connect to. If that's a client you are trying to sell to, great. If that's a investor that you're trying to get on board, great. It's always not about Cristi, I think, said that you just make a product and if it's good enough, it's going to sell. And he also said that's not true. And I strongly agree with that, because it's not about the product. It's about if the people do need that product. Because I can create an amazing product, but if I'm just going to think about the product and not how to sell it to the people, people won't know they need it. So I think, Nenad, I think it's always going to be about what do the people in that market want. That it's going to be different from market to market, from culture to culture, but the same thing in our animal brain is going to be the same.
And being mindful about the time and the other panels that are coming, we will stop here. There's 1 minute afterwards. Thank you everyone for joining. Panelists, thank you for sharing. Participants, thank you for the questions and everything. And please go ahead and continue the conference. Everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cluj Innovation Days 2020 is part of the Future Skills lifelong learning program. The project is co-financed from the European Social Fund through the Human Capital Operational Program 2014-2020.